Well, hi there. I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender. I have Tic Tacs in my mouth. Here, I'll spit out my teeth. No, they're Tic Tacs. I'm the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female. I always have to make that clear because people say, well, what direction are you going in? I'm not sure. No. I was born male, I became female, and I'm going to become a mail carrier one of these days. No. My guest is Nate, a lesbian activist whose original name is Nichelle
Yes.
Nolly,
Yes.
but is better known as Nate. We're going to talk about a lot of things that maybe you're familiar with, and maybe, we can all find a solution and all love one another, or at least not hate one another. And Nate is going to tell us about her growing up years, which, as you can imagine, were not placid and peaceful. And we're going to find out a lot of things. And by learning other people's stories, we get to know ourselves better. I swallowed the Tic Tacs. Okay. My guest, Nate.
Alrighty.
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
Aside from Tic Tac death, instant Tic Tac death, I'm fine.
Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start.
I know the Tic Tac company will sue me. You said our mints kill people. No, I didn't.
Fake death.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really know where to start with my childhood, I guess.
Well, chapter 1, you are born. It worked for David Copperfield.
This is true. I was born in actually Conyers, Georgia, and
Connors or
Conyers.
Conyers. Conyers.
Yeah, Conyers, Georgia. It's it's really close to Atlanta, but I would say by grade school moved to a place called Madison.
Right.
Georgia. Moved there and was raised mostly by my grandmother. My mom was a teen mom, so she couldn't really do a whole lot, and so Gran took me in to kind of help her out.
Sure.
And Madison, Georgia is it's very traditional country, Georgia
And your
town.
grandmother has a very traditional occupation.
She does. She is a Baptist minister, and that was just a very much kind of drilled in, from childhood. She's a very open and loving person, and I think she really just wanted me to love God as much as possible. So she really kind of pushed, come to church with me, do this, join the choir, that kind of thing. And then probably I would say middle school realized what was actually going on internally for me. I like girls and not men, and that's not really okay in my house,
But the alternative is teenage pregnancy, so it should be.
This is true.
Yeah.
But kind of at that point it was just like, I don't know how to present this to anyone, and if I tell anyone, Grandma might find out. So let's be a straight person. Let's figure this out and try to be as heterosexual as I possibly can. And it backfired majorly.
Like, oh, please, God, make me heterosexual.
Yeah, it backfired in such a major way. I actually turned into a huge bookworm and just, decided to not be social at all for the longest. And then when I was social, it was kind of this fake me that wasn't really who I wanted to be on the inside, and did a lot of things I'm not really proud of. I was cruel to people for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of things. And
I made a career out of it. I used to be a dominatrix. So,
oh, well.
Yeah, you can get paid for it.
Right.
Yeah.
I probably was really good at it, so
yeah.
you never know.
Yeah.
But after a while, after high school, well, really at the end of high school, it came to ahead. It started to really bum me out that I could not be comfortable in my skin.
Because you'd been told that being a lesbian was wrong.
That, and because I saw how the two lesbians in my school were treated. There were literally 2 that were out, and they were treated just horribly. And I was like, I can't hang out with you guys. I can't be treated this way.
Right.
It was so insane. People would not talk to them, and if they did talk to them, it was nothing but hate.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, and so I was just kept to myself very much. Had a few friends who all thought I was, the normal, straight, not any kind of difference.
Did you date boys?
I didn't date, actually. I didn't really date until after I graduated from high school.
Is that because your grandmother was a minister, or?
Very much so, yeah. I just didn't know how to tell her. I didn't know like how to be partially myself or even part of myself. Like, I didn't know how to enter any kind of a relationship or anything in that moment because I couldn't be me, and so I hadn't fully examined who I was.
Were you afraid to?
Yeah, very much. I was. She was very, very, spiritual, religious woman, and I love her. God, I love her so much, and I just was so worried that she would hate me for the rest of my life, and just that she would not be able to accept it, and and then I would hate myself. And around the end of high school, it came to a bit of a head. I tried to kill myself because I just could not take it. This guy, I was in the drama department. And I loved musicals, like love musicals. And
are you sure you're not a gay man? Yeah.
I've actually had that question a lot. Actually, a lot of people ask me, are you sure that you're not a gay guy inside there? But love theater so much, and I was in drama, and playing a part of a guy because we had only girls in our drama club. We had no guys that would come out.
Yeah, it was
come and do that.
Yeah.
And we were doing one of those performances you have to do for the school. You have to do one for the student body, and they were just being the most hateful they could be. And one of these guys who was in one of my classes, he stood up, and he was like, "Stop trying to be a boy and go suck a dick." And he literally and I was just like, what do we do? Like, how do we exit from this moment,
Yeah.
But it shook me to my core. I literally could not come back from it because I was like, how does he know? Nobody knows. How does he know? Yeah. And he, probably did have no clue, had no clue.
Being a jerk for his friends. Yeah.
Right. It shook me to my core. I literally 2 days later, in the middle of class, asked for a hall pass and decided I was going to go jump off the back of our bleachers in the back of the school. They had just gotten a new stadium built. And it was pretty, I would say about a good 3 stories up, and I thought I could die that way. I had no idea,
Did you jump?
I didn't. I did climb up them, and our school counselor found me before I got to that point. I think somebody from a classroom had seen me climbing and went and grabbed kind of whoever who would come and see. Yeah. And it was our school counselor. They managed to talk me down, and they kind of sat me down to talk about things, and it was just like I didn't know what to tell them. It's just like, I can't tell you what's going on with me. I can't even tell my parents what's going on with me. So started going to see a therapist, and my first therapist, I didn't even, it was so far pent up inside of me who I was that I couldn't even tell him the truth. Right. My therapist literally had no idea who I was. I was just make up something to tell him just so that I wouldn't have to examine anything that was going on the inside. It was so hard. Graduated from high school and literally almost immediately had a second suicide attempt. And that was just, I couldn't unthaw. It's like I numbed myself to everything, and I couldn't unthaw. I couldn't feel anything.
You'd repressed yourself and your knowledge of yourself.
Yeah, and I had no clue who I was, and I was like, why can't I feel anything? What's wrong? What's going on?
What you were, you just didn't want to be it.
Yeah, it was just I had no idea how to get back to it, no idea how to say, this is who I am and it's okay. Because to me, it wasn't going to be if I did. So I was like, I'll just take myself out so I don't have to examine this at all, so I don't have to stand up for it. And wound up in a mental hospital, and that led to numerous other visits and everything. And eventually, my therapist in Madison, her name is Helen. She was the best therapist I've ever had.
What's her full name?
Helen Cabot.
Hi, Helen Cabot.
She was the best therapist ever. She managed to talk it up out of me. She was like, what, she was drilling too. I always say, Helen never asks an easy question. You start off with the hard ones with Helen, and you just get harder from there. But she managed to hack away at all of the things pent up in me. Right. And she finally was like, you're not comfortable. She's like, you're just not comfortable, and it's fine to be comfortable. She said, what would make you more comfortable, Because if we don't ever find out, we'll never help you get more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that was how she approached it, and I just started crying, and I was just like, I'm not me anymore. I said that when I was younger, I knew exactly who I wanted to be. I knew exactly what was going on inside of me. But I got so terrified of the world that I couldn't be that. And came out to Helen, and Helen was like, well, this isn't a bad thing, you know. This is probably an easier thing than you think, you know. Mm-hmm. She said, it's going to be, you know, you'll probably face animosity, but everybody does in some kind of way, you know. She said, but you need to start being okay with you and then worry about being okay with the world. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. I actually came out to my grandmother a week later. And it was
your grandmother, the Baptist minister, yes.
Yeah, it was like the hardest experience I ever had. I had no idea how to even start, and I was just like crying immediately, like, I need to tell you something. I don't know how to say this, but
she probably thought you were pregnant.
She probably did. But I told her, and it was the best, literally best thing that I ever could have done, because she had been so worried, because she thought, you know, I know what's happening inside of you, but I know that you keep trying to hurt yourself, and I don't know why or how to help or what's going on. Mm-hmm. And she sat me down and she was like, don't ever be afraid to be you. She said, never lie. She said, lying before God is so much worse than just being who you are. And she said that she saw God as a God that loved people. Mm-hmm. She said, and God loves people who do right by other people. Mm-hmm. She said, and as long as you're doing right by other people, I could care less who you want to love, you know?
That's great.
And she just made it very plain. She was like, as long as you have a relationship with God, that's all that matters.
What's your grandmother's name?
Deborah Cox.
Hi, Deborah Cox. You're a great minister, really.
Yeah, I mean, she just really...
Lucky her parishioners, you know, her flock, her, you know.
She's just like, she really did everything she could to make me feel as comfortable as I could in that moment. She was just like, you know what, being you is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. She said, and she actually, you know, she knows her Bible back and forth. I don't know mine that well, you know, partially, but she knows it back and forth. And she was just like, you know, there are actually people in the Bible, you know, who were...
Well, Jonathan and David.
Yeah. And she was like, that, you know, this, she said, it's not
Ruth?
That it's a horrible thing. She said, it's that, you know, a lot of people use it to shun people.
Exactly.
She said, and it's never intended that way. She said, what I've seen in the Bible is that if they were doing right by people, then they were doing right in God's eyes, you know?
And let's mention your mother's name, because she'll be upset with us if we don't.
Winnie Nolly, my mom. I used to call her Mumsy. Hey, Mom. She's so excited. Like, she was just like, oh my gosh, you're going to be on something. Like, I have to see.
Yeah. And it goes on YouTube, so she's on forever. So, when you're your grandmother's age, you can watch this and say, that's who I was at the age I am now.
Yeah.
What made you come to New York? And how did you get the courage?
Believe it or not, I wasn't going to. It took me a month to make the decision to come up here. I was seeing this wonderful, wonderful girl, and she is from Georgia as well, from Atlanta though, so she's used to a little bit more of an inclusive culture.
City, yeah, sure.
And she had lived up here before and then moved back to Atlanta and wanted to come back up here, and it was one of those, I kind of hate Madison anyway, so why don't I go with you so we can, you know, explore this relationship as well as be in a place that I'm not going to feel like I can't be me in. So it took me like a month to come, like, to make a final decision on that, and then we came up here, and it was just like, it was such an amazing experience. I have to say, my first week up here has just been it was outstanding. I cried, like, in my first week up here.
Because of the buildings and all that?
We went, and my girlfriend's name is Brittany. I don't know if she wants to tell her name or not, but she took me to the LGBT center.
Right, on 13th Street, yes.
Right, and she was like, I think you need to see this, you know, because I told her there's not any kind of acceptance in Madison. Like, it's very much a tolerance of who you are. And she was like, I think it would be great. Let's go be tourists for a second and go see this. And so we go in, and I was just like, immediately I felt like crying. I was just like, wow. Like, I can literally stand here, and nobody's going to look at me weird. Nobody's going to say, what's wrong with you for being who you are. Nobody's going to hate me instantly on sight. And it's just like, I kind of want to cry now. But it just like, I've never felt so at peace in a place, you know, at peace with myself, at peace with the world, just for being in a place where I can be me. It was such an amazing experience. It was a wonderful thing.
Where do you want the future to take you? What do you want to do with your life?
Right now, I'm not absolutely sure what avenue I'll go down. I know that I'm interested in a lot of different things. I'm 26. I'm interested in so many different things. I write, sort of, and I've written a play. I've written a novel. I've written a lot of poems and things. I sing. My mom wants me to pursue that, but I'm not really good on stages.
Why not?
Stage
You're
fright.
doing fine here.
There's not an audience. Like, there's not like people here. For me, as soon as like the audience gets bigger than 10 people, I can't really like stand up there.
Believe me.
A lot of people say it.
Don't you think your grandmother, when she went before the congregation the first few times, thought?
You know, it's interesting you say that. She has really bad stage fright too, and every time she goes up there,
but she does it.
You know, yeah, and so I guess maybe.
And she helps a lot of people.
We'll see. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll go down that avenue.
Have you ever thought of entering the ministry?
I have not thoroughly thought about it, but I have had it mentioned to me several times. My grandmother, she does a lot of like partnershiping with different churches and stuff, and for the longest time she was an evangelist before she got ordained, and she would just like travel and help churches get off the ground. And a lot of the ministers that she associated and worked with their churches is they were prophetic ministries. And a lot of them said that I would at some point probably be a minister, but I have not actually examined that yet as an avenue.
Do you think you'll be staying in New York? Do you like it?
I love it here, honestly. Like, I feel like if they'll let me stay, I'll just stay.
You don't
forever.
need a passport yet. As far as I know, that could change tomorrow, but yeah.
But yeah, I love it here. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I love the fact that I can literally walk down the street. I can hear music. I can see literally every culture just blossoming.
Yeah, on one subway car, you can see every culture
Right?
blossoming. Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I love the street art. The street art is just gorgeous. We went to a block party. It was so interesting an experience for me just to be in a queer event. I was just like, wow, look at this. Like, there are people who aren't mad, you know, like they're just partying in the streets. And
Madison, take note.
yeah, you know, and they had these just gigantic murals on these buildings of just like beautiful pictures and people, and I was just like, oh my gosh, look at this, you know. I was like, this is art that you get to look at for free. Like, you don't have to do anything. You can just walk down the street.
It's good that you see that, because some people consider graffiti, no matter how beautifully executed and well planned, to be some kind of thing they have to do away with, and it's often not. It's not unlike, corny though it sounds, the Sistine Chapel. It is painted on a structure so people may enjoy it, and that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a wonderful, beautiful expression of self.
I agree. And what, do you want to have kids someday?
I do, actually. It's always been like a hope of mine. I love kids. I've always wanted to raise my own. It's always been a hope of mine to have at least one and adopt everything. Like, I've always wanted to adopt. I have a lot of friends who were adopted, and I feel like there's such a call.
Is that because of their connection with the church, your connection with the church, that you have a lot of friends who are adopted?
Actually, no. It's people I've met over the years, just kind of at random. But I have no idea, like, how. Like, I don't feel like there's a connection in any of them. It's just like we met in some area and we were both outspoken and started talking over each other. And we're like, hey, what are you doing? You know,
right.
Kind of thing. So, but I know a lot of people who are adopted, and I feel like if there's any child that you can, you know, show love to, and make them feel wanted, then you definitely should.
Well, this is a very heavy discussion we're having. I really thought things had changed over time, you know, but I guess it's pretty much the way it was 50 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, in some areas.
Yeah.
Definitely
Never
is.
really changes, does it?
Mm-mm.
Do you think it ever will?
I think it will, but it will take a great catalyst for that to jump again, sort of. Like, I feel like it's the world evolving, and evolution is a slow process most of the time. So I feel like it's definitely going to take a gigantic catalyst to push it and make it evolve faster.
Do you think that, do you think we'll ever all learn to love one another, or are we just going to keep insulting and hurting one another and all these terrible things that people do?
I would love to say that we will all one day love each other and you know, at least accept each other in that way. But I think that it's a very deeply rooted truth that hurt people hurt people.
There you go, yeah.
And as long as anyone's hurting, they will be hurting other people. So you have to kind of hope for the best. And one thing I always do is I just try to be a gentle person to everybody, you know? If I see, this actually happened the other day. There was a woman crossing the street. She had her daughter's hand, and she had the stroller, and the stroller was like falling, like it kept going in different directions. And I was like, "Can I just tie that for you really quick?" You know, things like that. It doesn't take much to put a smile on somebody's face or make their day go better. You know, just try to put a little kindness out every second.
Absolutely. If you see someone wearing a nice outfit, say, "Love that outfit."
Yep.
They'll be shocked, and then they'll be happy. They'll say thank you.
And they'll tell somebody else. They'll be like, "Hey, this person loved my outfit. I like your hair, by the way." You know.
Yeah, that kind of thing. You know, and I mean, but mean it. You know, you can't see something awful and say, "Hey, I really like that." You know, no. If you really like it, say it.
Yeah. Put it out there.
Yeah, I once got into terrible trouble. This gorgeous woman was walking down the street, and as I walked by her, she was with a woman friend. I said, "You look really hot." She thought I was making a pass at her. I wasn't.
Oh, no.
I meant, "You look really hot." I didn't mean, "Hey, babe, you look really hot." You know, I mean, what can I say? Now, sexuality. You like women.
I do.
Does that present certain problems in Madison?
Oh, yes. Definitely does. Literally, like, right after I started coming out community-wide, so to speak, like, you know, outside of family.
Right.
It was this huge, it was kind of like a parade of ignorance and hate, you know. It's just like nobody got it. They were just like, why would you do that? That didn't make any sense. Why are you, that's not how it's supposed to be. This is wrong. You should do this instead, you know.
No matter how much you hate it, get married and have kids like the rest of us, damn it.
Right.
You think we're happy? What's happy? Don't be selfish. Who wants to be happy?
Right. And I actually had one guy who was like, you should at least be ashamed of this if you're going to do it.
Oh, yeah, when my father, who was from the South, I might add, used to say, his name was Vernon Campbell. How Southern is that?
Oh, wow.
He used to say to me, "Oh, you know, the neighbors are seeing." I said, "I don't care." He'd say, "I know you don't care. You have no shame. I know you don't care." Isn't that ridiculous? I mean, you can't win. No?
You just can't. Like, it's lose-lose with people who don't want to understand you.
Yeah.
You know, it's always going to be a lose-lose game with that. And so after a while, I just got this whole thing in my head. I was like, you know what? I can't please everybody.
That's it.
I can
You
please
really
me, and I can please the few people that are happy with that. So I'm going to be me, and if you don't like it, you can be you over there, you know, kind of deal.
If people want to contact you, can they?
Definitely, yeah.
How would they do that?
I guess by email. My email is openeyes, openeyes.nn@gmail.com.
Great. And if people out there, not necessarily in New York or outside of New York, but I mean other kids in towns, excuse me, all across the country who might have benefited from your example and what you've just said, it would be nice if they could talk to you and say, you know, "Nate, I live in Ratsass, Ohio or something, and my life stinks. What do I do?" You know?
Never stop trying to be who you are. Never. My grandmother used to tell me all the time when I was younger, she would say, reach for the moon every day. Reach for the moon. Because if you fail, you'll land in the stars, and you will still have a glimpse towards the moon that you were going at. and it'll remind you of the fire you had in the beginning.
Your grandmother's great. Yeah.
She is. I talk about her so much. She's wonderful.
She's really something. She's great.
Yeah.
She should write a book,
I've told her that so much, that she went back to school actually to get better at writing. She was so, she and I had this long talk one day, and she was just like, I'm so insecure in my writing and speech. Because when she went to school, you know, they just weren't taught that well in her schools.
Sure.
And so she had a lot of insecurities around it.
Even the teachers had awful speech and all that.
Yeah, so
she and I are the same age, so.
Yeah, so I told her, I was like, you know what, go back to school. Nobody's stopping you. You can take instructions, you can learn, go back.
That's great.
And so she finally made the choice to go, and I was like, and she hated her first day. She was so upset. She was like, I can't do this. These people are all younger than me.
And she's also used to being in charge because she's the minister,
And I was like, you know what, I'll tutor you. I actually
Isn't that nice?
Left work for 2 years. I stopped working for 2 years to tutor her through college, just so that she could get a little under her belt.
That's beautiful.
And now she writes better than me.
That's
just like...
Well, anyway, so we're almost out of time.
Oh.
Can you give your email address again?
Oh, yeah, that's Open Eyes, OPENEYES .NN@gmail.com.
And if you are a person who's having coming out struggles or who just needs to talk, maybe Nate, you can contact Nate and she'll have, you can talk and compare notes, and no one has the answer. You have to find your own answers, but maybe, Nate having survived, thank God, so well, the tribulations of her early youth because of her lesbianism, maybe she can help you. Anyway, my guest has been Nate, also known as, say your name.
Nachelle Nolly.
And I'm Diana Montford, still with the tic-tac craziness here. And I love you a lot. Even if no one else loves you, I love you. And to be really corny about it, God loves you, and a lot of people love you. Yeah, just let the you out, and people will love you, or maybe not. But I love you. So anyway, take good care of yourself. I love you a lot. I'll see you next time. Bye. And now we're watching the clock until the show's over because we have 16 seconds left. Well, let's see now. Aren't those nice lights up there? My goodness. How do they do that? Yes. Okay. That was great. That was really great. That was really great. That was really, really great.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That was really, really, really great. And I'm not flattering you. That was excellent. That is one of the best shows I've ever done, thanks to you. That is a great show, and it's going to help a lot of people, for real.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Now let's go downstairs and get lung cancer. We'll come back and do another.
I love how open you are about that lung cancer.
Well,
Let's go downstairs and stifle our breathing for a second.
Yes, and I have nice long ones so we can linger over our instruments of death here. But, is my bum arm again? We're just going downstairs and stuff. Boy, is she good. She's one of the best shows I've ever